So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on which part of the world you are in. I guess people have joined from various parts of the world, US, India, I think some from Middle East. So great to see everyone here. And welcome to the session, Build Claude-Powered Marketing Operations, specially designed for marketing leaders. And this is our 5th edition in the series of Masterclasses we have been conducting around SEO and GEO using for agentic workflows. So let's quickly jump on to what I'm going to cover today in this session. At a very high level, we're going to talk about the traditional playbook, what all of us are using today in terms of SEO and GEO, and where are the gaps, and how this operating model, agentic processes and operating model can help us fill those gaps. And then we have two eminent speakers here with me today, and they're going to talk about their journey in their organization, the challenge, the transformation, and so on. And finally, we're going to show some of the workflows real data, which marketing leaders can leverage and use on day-to-day basis to improve theirs and their team productivity and efficiency. And finally, yeah, we'll have open floor where we can take some questions, brainstorm some ideas as time permits. And towards the end, we have quite interesting and information to share and some giveaways. So I will encourage everybody to stay till the end. And any questions which you have during the session, please, either you can keep a note of that or put it in the chat. Team will take a note of it, and towards the end, you can come back and we'll answer. And you can also write if you have a question for any speaker, especially. So please write the name if you want to ask any specific speaker. We can take that. So with that, we'll start the session. Now, just about a little bit, just LeadWalnut, 10+ years in B2B tech, and now gradually over the last 2 years shifted towards our started agentic journey, and now we have around 14+ agents built across the funnel, but for different stages, and basically help mid to large enterprises scale their operations, and now especially with the team and plus this agents what we have now currently. And my name is Ajay Batra. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LeadWalnut, and I'm going to be your host today and run this session for around 60 minutes, for the next 60 minutes. Now, this pretty much we know about this, right? We know everybody is using AI. We know it, not just marketing. Yes, in marketing, everybody is everywhere. But is there a framework? Is there an operating model which has been built, a repeatable process which has been built around it? Now that's a big question, right? So as data suggests, there are 75% marketing teams have adopted AI, are using AI today. But only 13% see the results or how they use it on a repeated way and use it on a day-to-day basis. And they're only just 2x high performance sitting there who runs it inside that 30% runs it. So for a marketing leader, as all of us, marketing leader, the gap still remains. The problem still persists, still firefighting, right? Now the handoffs, the dependency to get data from different sources, the time it takes to run the analysis, are we really satisfied with output, and so on. So the problem persists in spite of adoption of AI at such a great scale, right? Now, if you just have to go back and play the story again, how we run this whole SEO GEO operation, right? I mean, it's a standard thing. We do planning, we do keyword research, brief, we create brief, optimize, publish, test, report, and finally we find, oh, we are not getting the pipeline. The eventually our goal was to generate pipeline. And in the process, we have lost 3 to 4 weeks, at least, if not more. I mean, these are all indicative numbers. Let's not stick to these numbers per se, right? The actual work was only for 5 to 6 days, but because of their hands-off dependencies and so on, it eventually took 3 to 4 weeks time. And that also sometimes you find it's not working, and you've lost so much time in the process. Right? That's how we all have been working all along. Right? So how now, same stages, how this AI agentic process comes and helps us there, right? So imagine if there are agents sitting there, which do hands off, take the work from the previous agent and keep running one after the other. But word is, not, I will, word, it has been so simple, like always, that agents are running and get the output and generate your pipeline, but that's not simple. So definitely you need some guardrails and human supervision. So that's where we need to deploy the right human expertise at the right places, the critical places. So let's say once the content draft is ready, somebody has to validate before it moves to the next step. Right? So you are sure that there is a quality output, there's alignment with your brand and so on. And once it published, again, somebody should review it so that you are sure that the right data is available in the live environment. Then the chances of, getting a pipeline compounding and, your ability to generate on your trust that you can generate pipeline is definitely high. Yeah. Right? And it cuts down the time. The very important part is it cuts down the time. So you become very agile. Now, let's say even if this process doesn't work, but you have just taken one day, you can iterate quickly and go back and run it again, and have not lost weeks together. Right? So that's the beauty. But the important critical part, as I said, is the human oversight here. Very, very important. The agents cannot run independently end to end, but it definitely helps to drastically cut down the time. And we'll see how not to compromise quality also. That we'll see as we go along the way. Now at this stage, we'll take a poll. Let's go to poll. The poll will appear here. Poll is coming up, so you can see here. Poll is live now, so please take the poll. So your team uses AI every day. Which of these could you defend to your board? Yeah, please. More people take, we get a better view of insights. Great. While people are voting, I think, we all are in different stages, different journey stages, right? So some are immature, some are still in partially using, and so on. So that's what it reflects, which is great. I mean, that's the reality today, right? Thank you for taking this poll. Now, moving on. Next. As we said earlier, AI is everywhere, but is the marketing output or the operation has really changed, right? Has it changed? Now that's where we brought in Claude Cowork. Now it is not just a simple prompt or a chatbot, right? It's your smart teammate, which think, remember, and execute end to end. Right? It reads your files from different formats. It plugs into your stack so that you get the data from validated sources, and it runs multiple steps, right? It is not just one prompt running on one independent process. It can talk to various systems, various processes. It can schedule itself, right? And very important, it can build repeatable skills. So because you have team with a different skill set, different capabilities, so every time output will be different, but it can build some skills which are repeated and used by different team members. Right? So it's a very smart teammate which is there with you. Now, this just to give you a view, the whole structure, how we configure the whole Claude Cowork when we build the agents, right, in your own workspace. So definitely there will be a set of inputs, and this is the core heart of the whole Claude Cowork internal mechanism. Agent skill files, guardrails, human approval, all that is set inside. And what comes out, you define how you want the output. And very important is the, this checklist, the validated sources, where to get data from. And that's where the trust builds, not only for us as a marketing team, but also for the AI engines. Once the data is fetched from the validated sources, genuine sources, you can also put not just these third-party sources, you can also put your own assets and also tell systems to fetch data from other known sources, let's say Gartner or Forbes or LinkedIn or Reddit. You can guide here as a guardrails. So it's a very controlled environment. It's not just driven completely by AI doing hallucination and doing things. Right? So very tight structure, architecture, which when you configure, and that's how you start building your framework around it. All right, time to introduce our guest panelist. Let me start with Raja, who is the Director of Marketing at Kissflow. Now, Raja is a very, and has the ability to engage audience. I met Raja in one of the conference recently, and the way he captivated, I mean, how it draw the attention of all audience. He built a model, cloud-based model, and gamified the whole thing using one sport and some marketing concept joining together, and very interesting game he created there and engaged all of us. So great. So, and Raja is going to talk about today marketing that anticipates, not just executes. Very interesting. So over to you, Raja.
Thanks a lot.
Share your screen. You share your screen, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just sharing my screen. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, great. And thanks a lot for the invite, Ajay. I think as soon as I saw the topic, I thought I'll just accept that rather than regret it later. So this is something which I've been doing day in and day out for the past 6-7 months. I think I started with Claude Cowork a few months ago, as soon as it was launched, and I was just figuring it out. And then I got to know how powerful it was. So that is where I started building a lot of systems, including the game that you mentioned, which we had a couple of weeks ago in an event. So I'll start with the basics. Let's not go far into the Claude Cowork yet. But I grew up in a very small town in Tamil Nadu. It is a very small town, which is not a city. And we used to have many of these cycle rickshaws. I'm not sure how many of you have traveled in one. If anyone have traveled in one, please raise your hands. But this is where I actually, I see a few people. I think these are some things which are called as something in the US. I saw in a lot of these in the New York City. Very recently when I traveled there, I saw a lot of these bikes which were there. So this is how I used to go to school every day. So there is a rickshaw wala that we call him as. So he comes in and he picks me up and he drops me at school, and he picks me up in the evening and he drops me back at home. So this is how he was running his day-to-day life. And then some point in time, I believe it is somewhere in 1990s, where there came in a motor that he can fix in this rickshaw. So if you really look at it, this is the place where they fit in the motor, and then he used to run it with it's a very small motor, so it actually doesn't makes him like to pedal the rickshaw, but rather he just can accelerate and then he can run with it. So the idea was great, right? So it was a old school bicycle, like rickshaw, and he didn't wanted to spend much in getting a taxi, and he just wanted to upgrade it with just an engine. So what he did was, uh, after a point in time, like he started using it for a very long time, and I was also like graduated a little bit, and I was using my bicycle to go to the school afterwards, and I've seen him fixing this, and he was running with it. So the primary challenge is that the this rickshaw is not made for that motor, because it was completely made for a different purpose, and if he's fitting in an motor on top of it, it created a lot of structural issues with the speed in which the rickshaw can go. And if he's fitting in the overall motor to increase the speed, what happens is that there is a lot of times that the brake failures happens, and then at some point in time, like the structural imbalance happens, that it topples the rickshaw on a whole. So these are the things which actually happen, because the whole framework or the frame that the rickshaw was built is for the human pedaling. It was not built for the motor that can fit in. So I really believe that most of us are trying to use AI like that. So if you use AI like that to increase the speed of what you are going to deliver, it is not going to help you. It is going to increase your workload. It is going to increase the stress on you, basically, to take the human judgment again and again and again. AI will produce it faster. So you'll get a lot of output from AI, and you will get stuck in validating each and every single thing of it. So that is like creating a lot of problem for you, like how the motor created an issue with this old cycle rickshaw, which was fitting in and trying to go faster. AI will not help you go faster if you are trying to use it in a very found like very high level manner, and you are trying to do a lot of things. But if you really imagine, how did this auto rickshaw become very popular? Tuk-tuk that they call in the Western countries. Uh, so what happened here is that the auto rickshaw was built from ground up, saying that the frame, the durability, everything was tested before they put one into the road. So they had a lot of ways that this is tested against the braking system and all of these things. So this is where the foundation of our thought process has to change. So what we really need to think about is that how can I create 100 articles is not the case. How can you add value to your end customer by creating those articles, and how much ever information that you can feed into the system is the overall thought process. Now you require a completely different playbook, how a completely different framework for you to think about how faster you can build those 100 articles in a single day, or like building like 10 videos in a single day. Now the game is up. So you can, like, for example, if you really think about it, it's garbage in, garbage out. If you are not feeding the system with a lot of information which is going to be helpful for your end customers, you are going to produce a lot of content which is going out in the market. It's going to like have no or least impact to your end customer. So we really have to rethink the framework on how do you ideate, how do you create, how do you distribute, and how do you get the feedback, and how do you improve the overall system. So this is the whole thought process in which you need to rethink it. I completely, like, for me personally, what I really do is that after every 2 years, I believe that the framework which is successful and yielding results for me is absolute. So I had to go back to the fundamentals. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but I'm going back to the fundamentals, and I think and I check with the available toolkit. Am I doing the right thing? Am I taking care of the basics? Am I working towards the success metrics that the marketing is supposed to do? So that's the overall thing that we are going to discuss right now.
Yeah.
And if you really look at it, the challenges that we are facing is not the tools. The tools we have plenty, but we really have to think about this in a way that there are two modes that you can use AI for. One is a slave mode. You ask it to do something, it does it for you. The other mode, as Ajay was talking about, is basically where you use the AI as your thought partner. So, whenever I start with some campaign ideas, I don't go and ask it to build the campaign for me. I sit with the AI, and then what I generally do is that I ask for questions. So now, because of these answer engines, these LLMs, the answers are abundant, and it is very, very easy to get. But the tricky part are what is in scarce is asking the right questions. Asking the questions anyone can do. Asking the right questions is where people are now really struggling with. So it's more about asking the right questions, and it is not just delegating, saying that you do this for me. So I'm not going to paste a document in chat GPT, asking it to rewrite an email, generating a post. So every session basically starts from zero. Basically, it would have some of your memories, you could hold some of these memories, but it's not having a overview of what you are directionally going and what and all that you are working on. So basically, it is something which is going to not help you in a longer run. You can keep doing it, it'll produce all the outcome, but what is that you are getting benefit out of it is something which we need to really think about. And if you are not having that thought process, you have to really build it. So where do you build it? So an AI system, for it to work, it needs a lot of context. The context is not right now available in the system. You have to feed that system with that information. It requires a lot of context. It requires a lot of information from you. It requires a lot of input from you. So without that, you will not be able to build this system. So for example, we have even whiteboarded to build an agent for like a whole day before we started working on it, because we know the current process. I'll give you a specific example to that so that the context is very clear. So we used to have this process, which is a creative request process. So what happens here is that for writing any article and getting it published in a website, there is a full process which involves multiple stakeholders who work on that project. So there is an SEO person who does the keyword research, and then he or she identifies the keywords that has to be done included in that article, and then they start working on a creative brief. The creative brief is sent across to the content writer. The content writer writes the content, and it's getting reviewed by our PMM team. So, and then it comes back to the SEO person. He reads through it. If he has any issues with the content, he sends it back to the writer, and there is a to and fro coming on. And then that is getting done, and it goes to the creative team. So they start working on the image which has to be coming along with the blog post, any infographic that has to be done. All of these are done, and then the SEO person again goes back to the website, and he drafts the article in the website. And then what happens is that he then verifies all the SEO tag schema, whatever it is, and then he goes ahead and publishes in the website. So you know how many people are involved in this process. And if he requires any special widgets to be placed, he will work with the web developer to fix that. So much of hustle in creating all of these things. So now we wanted to build a system to this, basically. So while doing this, we needed a lot of context. The context lies in the mind of the people. Like, for example, the PMM person holds the narrative. What is that we need to talk about? What is that Kissflow is about? What is that we shouldn't be talking about on all of these things? The content writer has all the context on the sentences that we need to use, the words which we shouldn't be using. How do we structure it? And all of these things is with the content writer. And if you really look at the SEO person, he has all the technical SEO knowledge and all of these things. The creative designer has all the context about the brand guidelines. How do we need to create an image for the blog and all of these things. Now we sat together for 8 hours to discuss this workflow. And right now this runs in Claude Cowork. So basically this is an agent that we have built, and it has all the context which I mentioned right from the brand guidelines to how the SEO process. See, we don't follow the SEO process, which is very generic. We have our own SEO team, in-house team, which we have built for the past 10 years, which is having a phenomenal amount of uh, organic efforts that we have put across, and a lot of research data that also goes in. So all of these contexts is feed into the system, and then it has built the agent in a way that the agents also basically if one LLM writes the content, other LLM actually validates it. In this case, the content is written through, for example, if it is written in Claude, then Gemini validates it. It has all the context which is related to how do we operate in it. So that's how we work on it. So now you could ask, how does this differs from an individual human work on it? But the connections actually makes impact. So the connectors by which what I'm saying is that there is a place called community.kissflow.com, which talks about all our product features, which gets updated regularly, frequently with all the releases. And at the same time, we also have our CRM data, which has all the call recordings, and everything is transcribed, which is also feedback into the system. So these are all real-time feedback loop which is passed into the system. So once you build the system, it has to be fed with all the real-time information. So we also do record our call recordings of our internal chats, and everything is also fed into the system automatically. So all of these recordings go to a folder, and the folder is automatically synced to these agents. So that is how you build tools which actually is not reacting to what you are inputting, but it actually feeds into the information. For example, if the system is actually getting triggered with, like, for example, there are 4 calls where they have mentioned about some replacing a legacy system, and you don't have an article in your website yet. So the agent will trigger all of these, and then it will start with a brief. But there is always a human in loop. In every single step, there is a human in the loop if there is any fallback. And the agent which is validating that step is saying that, okay, this is not right, I need a human intervention there. Then there is a human intervention, and before it going live, everything is like right now is getting, we have a connector, HubSpot connector, which we have built. So HubSpot, everything goes there in draft, and always a human is looking at the content before it's approved. So that is how this system has been built. So basically, it requires a lot of context. It requires a lot of live interacting data as well. So that's how this actually built.
And then just a time check. We have 2-3 minutes left. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think I have a couple more slides,
Yeah.
but basically that's what I wanted to convey. So
Sure.
basically, it is a pattern that the system builds, and then that is how this system actually compounds. So once you get the context, that context actually helps us to build this repeatable systems. So I have a whole bunch of folder with a lot of markdown files on all the metrics that I do and all of these things. There are a lot of call recordings. I also talk to AI and record it, so that there is a lot of context which is getting added on a daily basis. So it improves and enriches the overall information under which this overall system is also running. So the other point which I wanted to leave you all with is basically AI is always not a faster tool. It is a different operating model as a whole. And if you give the system access to the data, redesign the complete workflow, as I said, that is the example that I gave you. And if you really do that, that is how this impact of running the system is going to do. So I think the takeaway from this session, if you guys really want me to do, give you an input, it is going to be just pick one workflow that is part of your marketing org and hand it to the system this quarter. It's not going to be bigger rollout and everything. You can just build it in one day. If you sit with Claude Cowork and then you keep typing, how do you automate this? What are the tools and everything? It will give you step-by-step instruction, and you can just build it. And then you can come back and see the compounding effort in one quarter. So that is how this things works. And the question is always, you don't have to say what AI can answer for you. It is, what should it actually know before you ask? So there is a lot of context that you need to fit into the system. That's how it actually builds. So yeah, that is all from me. So I'm like kind of open for the questions. So basically start at one step. You really need to know, like, for example, there will be a lot of data which is required for training and all of these purposes, but you need to start somewhere. If you want to start somewhere,
Absolutely.
start today.
Absolutely. Great insight, Raja. Yeah. Questions, please make a note, as you said, we will take towards the end. So, Raja, I mean, great takeaway. The shift from tools to system is the part most teams underestimate. So great. Now, just a quick pulse check here. Now, you just put thumbs up here if you think your marketing stack still feels like scattered pieces, and you wish it was one full system, as I explained. So what's your take on that? You can use any emotion here to show your
Yeah.
how's your experience. Yeah,
Absolutely.
great.
The marketing systems are very, very scattered, and that is for
Right.
sure. And the one thing is that what my personal take on this is that take one, build it successfully. So that is
Right.
the thing that I would always do. When I say that take one and build, it would be a weekly target that we generally work with, and then we feed that, and then we get that small success, and you feel like, yeah, we achieved something, and then you take the next one. So don't try to build bigger agents, bigger solutions. Just try to solve simpler problems, so it actually compounds after a point in time.
Excellent. Yes, exactly. Great. Thank you so much, Raja.
Thanks, Ajay.
Insights. Yeah. So let me go back to the presentation. Let me share my screen. Share my screen here. Right. All right. I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. Let me introduce Kent, our next guest speaker, panelist here, as a head director of Web and SEO at Fortinet. And I had a privilege of working with Kent for almost now 6 years. And Kent has spread 20, 30 years experience working with bigger companies like Fortinet, Adobe, IBM, and great learning from Kent. Kent is very passionate about, as I have seen him, about content at scale. The backlink is what he drives, which I've seen delivering results over a period of time, how it can help build the brand reputation, the brand authority, the brand visibility. So we're going to have a quick chat with Kent on a few areas, how he's shaping up AI and visibility and transformation within Fortinet. And so let me start with a few questions. Kent. Yeah. So Kent, the first question is to you, is without anyone second guessing the numbers is the hardest part, right? So, so how long until people stop checking the old reports? That's a big question, right? Once we start using AI, right? So what's your experience in this space?
Well, so let's just be clear that often the audience, whether it's product marketers, whether it's traditional marketers, they're not always as well versed on what SEO and how SEO works, like what's actually happening inside of the SERP, right? The search engine results page, what's actually happening now with the LLMs. And so there's a certain amount of education you have to do to get them to at least invest in the data that you're bringing to them, right? Because they don't always understand what the data is telling. So that's the first part, is really sort of explaining what the data represents, what's happening with the search engine, what's happening with the content. So interesting story about Fortinet is when I started at Fortinet, 97% of search traffic was branded. So unless it had Fortinet in the name, unless it had a product number in the name, it did not get seen, right, in the search engine. So So there was a real problem and content gap around having content. So we build all that content. Now, so the first piece is you've got to show people like, hey, here's the delta between you and your competitors, right? So that's the first part of the reporting. You got to have them understand what you're actually showing them, and then say, hey, we're going to do these things, and then we're going to see how the data changes over time. And so remember that it's a point in time data. Often these dashboards that we build now that we're using AI, they're still point in time. And so it's critically important for you to not just show, hey, how are you doing today, but the trend lines over time and how that trending is impacting actual performance. In other words, people coming to the site, filling out forms, turning into customers.
Exactly. Yep. So I think, so this way, I think what you're saying, AI helps to quickly get insights and, very personalized to the target audience and help us to convince them whether there is a gap and then drive the corrective actions, right? Which otherwise...
if you're like everybody else, I mean, you're using 5 or 6 tools, right? And each tool has a certain snippet of data. And so what's great about AI is now we can take the information from the various tools, mash those up into a single page so that now you can have context and clarity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We saw some reports how easy when we show how quickly to show some insights using AI tools and all, how your competition is doing, where you are lacking, what needs to be done, and so on. So convincing becomes much easier when you have a quick database kind of approach, which otherwise manually takes tons of times, and we keep dropping them on the way, right? Yeah. Great. Now, another question is, see, you yourself are in a security company, which itself is is one of the critical and a big concern as a marketing community, marketing leaders have before adopting these AI tools. So how comfortable within the organization you are about touching these agents and getting the approvals and setting guardrails within the organization?
Well, I think like any enterprise, especially public company here in the U.S., there's always a SecOps review. So you have to submit, what's actually going to happen with the tools, and you have to let the SecOps team actually review that for whether it's going to, be exposed to things like PII, which is personally identifiable information. That's a big no-no, right? So you don't want the tool to actually get access to databases that might have customer data in them. So all of those things have to be, those checkboxes have to be made to say, hey, we're only allowing the content or the tool to do these 5 things, and it will not access customer data. It will not access important data that we don't want known outside of the company. So it gets reviewed in SecOps for that. But also, I think it's important to know that we've done a ton of training, certainly. So for instance, around Copilot, how do you use it to improve a PowerPoint, or improve a document, or write ad copy, things like that. So the good news is they have done some very good concerted training across the organization to help people understand, here's the tool. Now let's show you how to get the tool to see the information as the input and to get a relevant output from it that helps you get your job done better, right? And so part of that training is critical so that people don't, release the tool to look at stuff that's not appropriate for external view. Right. Yeah, I think that setting the right guardrails, as you rightly said,
and also explaining the clear use cases, what for you're using, what the value it brings, and as you rightly said, not allowing it to touch the confidential or customer information and so on. So yeah, so that helps build trust and get buy-in from the organization. Absolutely. Great point here. Last question here. Now, see, reporting all has been traditionally telling us what happened. Now with this AI and all, are you also moving towards agents that recommend or act on what they see?
Yes. So part of the challenge that we have in some of these larger organizations is that we're being asked to do more with less. Fewer people doing more work, and so not only are we looking at AI tools that can help us in some of these use cases, things like creating graphics, creating content, writing ad copy, things like that. But now we're actually looking and asking those same tool vendors to be able to integrate with our internal marketing tools. So can it, after we get an acceptable output, can we actually have it automatically upload that to that system so that doesn't require somebody to actually physically do the cut and paste. It actually does the authoring, and then you review it, and then you can actually hit the publish button, right? So yes, we are looking at that. It's a critical piece of the puzzle because authoring in either web or email systems, even in data collection systems, critical importance there to be able to author that in a way that is correct and follows all the guidelines, brand visibility, all of those things have to be adhered to. And so now we're actually asking vendors for that level of integration as well.
Great, excellent, great point here. Yeah, great. So thank you so much, Kent. I think there's a great insights here we had. So I'm just asking everyone now, how much within your organization will you trust the marketing numbers that you give it to your board or submit as a reporting? So yeah, if you think you can trust, you can give a thumbs up here. Up, right? Right, great. So great. So many people believe can trust the AI numbers. It's great to know that. All right, moving on. Thank you, Kent.
A pleasure.
All right. So now we have seen, heard directly from the speakers what they are doing, how they are building agents. Now, just to understand what's happening in general within the marketing community, within your organization, what's going on. So here's the AI maturity model, what we have drawn here. The business impact, adoption breadth, and it goes through the 5 stages of maturity: aware, assisted, integrated, and so on. And you can be, based on your AI adoption and maturity, in any of these 4 boxes. You can be explorer, you can have pockets of excellence within your team, organization, you can be task automators, or the final, that's the end goal, AI native leaders, right? So here is a poll coming up. We want to just say, as a marketing community in general, where do we stand? So let's take a poll. Yeah, here's the new poll live here. Yeah, so the question here is, where does your marketing function sit today? Explorers, task automators, pockets of excellence, AI native leaders. Yes, I'll request, encourage others. Everybody takes it, so we get a better insights and view of what's happening within our own community and how we are adopting AI. So yeah, I think it's a clear division. You can see that. So we all are in different stages in different organizations, right? Different teams. right? Some are very mature, while some are still adopting, some have pockets of excellence, and so on. Great. I think this definitely overall aligns with what the state of this AI adoption is. Great. Thanks for taking the poll here. Now, while there are a lot of agents are available, but we know most of them die in demo. Now, this is the same adoption issue what we saw just now solved, right? Because of that, and we know why the agents fail basically, right? Because we use them as a prompt. We don't give proper guardrails. We ignore the data's, from where to pick up the information, the validated sources. We don't provide that, and there is no feedback loop. Very important, which Raja also explained that, right? It has to be iterative. You have to keep giving continuous feedback, right? So that is why agents don't take off generally, and we say that agents are not working, right? So now the big questions before we go to the next one, every marketing leader has this concern or question, right? While they start using agents, where does data live? Who can access it? Can we trust the output? Who signs it off, right? These are the biggest questions in everybody's minds, right? So when we build these agents, either Claude Cowork or you build your own agents, right? So we have to make sure data lies within your personal or private space, right? Like inside your own Claude workspace where you have signed up. So it's not exposed to outside. Of course, I mean, the Cowork definitely is maturing with the time, can have some time, security concern, but it's not exposed to public. It's within your sign up and private space, and you can define the access to systems, who has view access, read access, admin access. Now, can we trust the output? Now, that purely depends purely on you. How do you build the agents? Are you using them as a prompts, or are you building a framework? Now, that's what I want to show you in the next slides. How you, not only just you, how these AI engines can trust it, not just you and your team and the board, right? That's very critical part of the whole agentic workflow. And how do we sign it off? The human intervention in between, right? Very, very critical. So these are, all of us as a marketing community leaders, we have all this concern while we adopt the whole agentic workflow and AI agents, right? So this is the framework that Raja also explained, right? It's not just fragmented systems we use, we give certain prompts here and there. How do we build a structured process to build agents? Now, in LeadWalnut, we have built around 14 agents, but I can tell you each agent took, if not more, at least a quarter, right? Because you need to define for every agent input, process, guardrails, output, and feedback. Now, structured output is a very, very critical part. Now, what does it mean? It means before you start building an agent, now you define the objective of that agent and what we call it, what goods looks like, WGLL, any agent. Do you really know what output to expect? How does it look like? How does a world-class output looks like for this kind of a process? If you don't have clarity on that, I mean, that's where it will start failing before it even begins. So basically, according to me, this is the starting point actually. And that's where human expertise and intervention, because once set up, that's where it will help you to build repeatable process, which can deliver the similar kind of quality and not just increase the speed, right? So let me show you just quickly one structure here. So when we build the agents, this is how structured way we go. We say there is a input. This is a content coverage analysis where you do against for any specific category. So you need to have specific inputs, give the right context to the tool. More context you give, we know that. AI is all about context, right? As Raja and Ken mentioned. So you give as much information possible. Then define the process from where to fetch the data. Guardrails, where not to go and set up those boundaries. So this is, for this process, we have set up almost 39-point checklist, best practices, which comes with a lot of your experience, what you have over a period of time. And then finally, the output. What output you want, how you want to structure it, what information you want to see there, right? And then finally, the feedback loop. As you run the agent, you keep seeing the issues, you keep writing here, so the agent keep learning every time and keep improving, iterating, improving, and that's the feedback. This is the agentic framework process. This is what I was talking about here, right? Not just prompt, not just one system, it's a multi-system workflow, right? So this ensures that your output is aligned with your business KPIs, and also AIs will trust because the structure you have built into those agents, right? Now, so now let's straight away jump to some of the agents which marketing leaders can leverage today. Now, these are some of the top workflows or the use cases we have identified which marketing leaders can use in their day-to-day activity, or strategize few things, or reporting, and so on, right? And quite intuitive, self-explanatory, most of it are. So what we have done, we have identified 3 agents here. High buyer intent ICP prompts that win AI answers, content coverage analysis, the Monday morning report. So we are going to talk a little more in depth and show how it can be run on Claude about these 3. Right? While all are important, all are can be executed quickly, and you can get the data. But as time doesn't permit us, so we'll just focus on these 3 for today's session. But we can get into more details offline. We can talk about these. Now, before I go, let's take a bit of a poll. Which one will you pick up if these 3 are given? Which is the one you will prioritize over the other? So what we will do, while we have all 3 here, we will spend a little more time and go into details of that, which you all want to see as the majority. Right? So let's go to the poll. Let's take a poll on this. Yeah, here is it. Poll is live now. Right. Which use case should we cover in the most depth? Yeah, let's IC prompts, content coverage, the Monday morning news. Yeah, please let us know your. Great. I expected that. Yeah, that's quite. Whenever we show this ICP prompt, the most people would want to see that. Great. So yeah, so we'll go a bit more detail around the prompt one, while I'll show you the other ones also. I'll encourage others also to share their views so that we get get better insights. And great. All right. Thanks for sharing the poll. So we'll while we go through all these 3 agents, we'll let's spend more time on the first one. Three agents. Yeah. Let's look at it. So before I go there, just to show you, it's very easy actually, because it takes a little time. So I'm not going to run it right now. But what happens is that you go to Claude Cowork. Of course, we have to configure the Claude. Setup has to be done. That it takes a while. It has to be set up. The various connectors have to be given, right? The context has to be given. But running is very easy. Once you have built the agent, right? You just have to attach that agent here and say, run this agent. That's it. That's as simple as that. Once you have, using the framework, build the agent, and your Claude is configured. But that requires some time to configure it. So that is also one of the very critical part based on the architecture which I showed you. So we'll have to come and configure on your system with your data. You need to do that first, right? And then once the agents are built, we just come here and say run, right? I just said, run this content coverage agent, right? Now what it does, it goes through it. It asks a couple of, like we saw, inputs, right? It asks you, I need all these inputs to set the right context. What is your website URL? What is the category name? Who is your primary competitor, secondary competitor? Any assets you want to attach? So it will ask you all these questions. to set the right context. You can also give any other information if you think that will help the agent to deliver better. And that's it. Every agent, this is the process. You just say run, and then the agent runs. You provide those inputs. I gave some inputs here that I want, which is a website and which is a category, who are the competitor, and so on. Then agent runs by itself, and it creates the output. Right? See here it is. So it has created this content coverage, what we call it as a, you want to dominate a category. Let's say in this case, there's a client and you want to dominate a patch management category. But where do you stand today, and what actions, what are the gaps, and what do you need? This is a big exercise if you have to do manually, and even after doing that, are we satisfied? But see the agent, what it has done here. Within 10 to 15 minutes, giving some inputs. It says you have total 114 URLs here. Your coverage is 93%. And how is the coverage against different funnel stages, against competition, how you are doing. Then it maps, though you have a good coverage, but are you against the industry standard? How are you doing today? It doesn't mean if you have more BOFU content or BOFU content, right? Like it's a BOFU, you have a high BOFU content. Industry standard is 15%, but you have 21% of content available on BOFU. LLMs, very interesting. It also looks at LLM content, how content is aligned with LLMs do you have in this category, and so on, right? And then it lists down all the URLs so that you can see how the agent has divided them into MOFU, BOFU, and all that, TOFU, BOFU, all that. So you can validate that, and then it also subcategorize under this main category. What are the different subcategories where you need to have the content, and where do you stand today? So it's a patch management fundamental. You have 6 in TOFU, but BOFU, LLM, you don't have any content. So overall, your coverage is only 25%. So you need to build content around this subcategory. So it gives you now clear direction after that. Where is who is the leading in terms of your competition in each subcategory, and give you a very, very detailed view of what is to be done if you want to dominate the category. Some places create the new content, some places optimize the content, and where to do, what to do. Everything is given and summarized in there. The moment you do that, the chances of dominating this category in SERP as well in AI engines becomes very high, very, very high. And it just generates in 10, 15 minutes, right? So just want to show you this, how you run on Claude, you set up, just run that MD file. So the whole work is very easy when you run it. Now, how do you create that repeatable skill using some framework? That's where the whole effort lies. That will drive the success of this engine, right? So now let's look at the same way you ask about this ICP-led prompt generation. Now this is a very, very critical gap we see in all our clients and where we work, that everybody is tracking AI visibility. But the question here is, against what prompts are you tracking? How do you know this is the right prompt set? That's a big question. Like SERP CTV for us, like keywords are there. We know some right keywords from where I should be ranking. But here it is very difficult. I don't know what is the validation. How can I validate these are the right prompts my ICP is searching? That's a big question. And when you track against the wrong prompts, as we say, garbage in, garbage out, right? You can be very happy my visibility is high, but against what prompt is anybody searching? Is it your target audience looking for it, and so on, right? So that is what we have built an agent here to get you first step. We say prompt to pipeline. If your prompts are right, the first set, and very, very scientifically driven prompts if you have, your probability of generating pipelines and visibility becomes very high, right? So this is just explain you a little bit how does it work, but let's see the slide here. When we ran this agent, it takes a little time. It's a little complex, so we'll not be able to run the session, but we take an MD file, run it, and I'll show you the output file, how it generates. It will just generate that. See the difference? These are the generic prompts we were tracking earlier. What is OT security, why it's important, best practice, and so on. Once we run the agent, now this is what it gave us. And it defines against what bucket it is putting those prompts. So this is bucket. See, each prompt is divided against different buckets: persona, USP, brand, feature, industry, against funnel stage, so that you have a very wide coverage. Let me show you the file, which will give you better insights, understanding how it is built. So once you run it, again, giving some inputs and all that, this is what you get as the output. It gives you prompt set. It tells you the bucket, subcategory, where it falls, because we want prompts to be covered, have a comprehensive coverage around problem areas, around industries, around features, around brand, around personas, right? We want different coverage. We want our prompts to be covered across different funnel stages, tofu, bofu, bofu, not just one stage. We have also mapped each prompt to a product here. So it is very, very aligned with your business KPIs. It aligns to your products, each prompt. The next bigger question is anybody searching for this? How do we know? Yes, I've created something. We try to map with AI, using AI, pick up some keyword phrases and see in GSC and Ahref, is there a demand here? So we get some idea, around those phrases, and not exactly the prompt, but inside the keywords and prompts, people are searching for those such phrases. So it gives you some numbers here, the search volume. It gives you some confidence. I'm not telling this is the perfect solution, but at least you have some confidence in the system that somebody is looking for this, right? These are not just come out from nowhere, right? So this is what you get out. Now, once you have, now your confidence on your output is high, that your ICP is really searching and using these phrases. And now if you appear for these prompts, your visibility, either you're cited or mentioned, then your probability of generating pipeline becomes very high. Right? So while the output looks simple, the process it goes through, as I said earlier, to build this framework and build this agent, that takes a lot of time. So you have to iterate. So, right? So this is one of the very critical agents what we have built and widely used with our clients, and really helping us to one we built for our client. Our visibility in one of the, like this OT security, our visibility was 98%. But when we changed the prompts, it completely came down to 60%. Because now those are the actual prompts which buyers are searching. Earlier, we were looking at the wrong metrics actually, and being very happy that we have such high visibility. So this gives you the reality and really helps you to improve the process and get the right audience, look at your brand, and drive the conversions. Right? So all the agent works like this. Content coverage, I showed you just now, one out. The same way, put the MD file, and it will give you a very detailed output with clear call to actions, the insights, what to do next, and so on. Right? And every agent you can trace back from where it has fetched the data and feedback loop to continuously improve that. Right? So this is one other one, the Monday morning. All of us need to give, the rush. I need to submit a report every Monday, come back. What happened during the week? So we just took a small segment, what you can produce. I mean, you can personalize it, whatever you want. The more inputs, guardrails, and the connectors you give, you can pull any report. So we just pulled one report. I want to show you. So this is a very quick Monday morning report. Overall, as compared to last 4 weeks, what happened to your needle? Are you green? Your AI, where is your AI visibility? It has moved by 4 points. It has moved by 7 points versus last week. So it tells you, and you can take your key categories. You can say, what's the score, overall score? How the needle has moved. It tells you plus, minus, red, all that. How's your AI visibility? How's your traffic share? How's your pet terms rank? And give you some insights. So this gives you a very quick view of what's happening last 4 weeks, 1 week, and all that. So you can personalize it. What do you want on Monday morning? I can schedule it, and it can come in your inbox every Monday. whatever you need to see, whether what competition has done, what content they have built, how are you doing, how are you doing in this category against your competition, what happened to you within this, and so on. So, I mean, endless. Limit is like you can generate anything you want, right? It can be, we can have an agent built there, pulling data from the right sources and giving you this information. So this is, I find very useful, this kind of things, analysis, especially for marketing leaders, where they need to continuously get on top of the numbers and then struggle to get either from agencies or teams, struggle to get numbers and insights all the time. Right? This can really help. I mean, you can see on your mobile, you can run it while on the go and check these numbers for yourself. Right? Right. All right, so these were the 3 agents. I just want to, see thumbs up if you like it. Please give a thumbs up here if you think they're useful, what we have presented so far, and especially the agents, the framework. I just would like to know. Please put a thumbs up here. Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I think. All right. Now we come back to the poll again. So let's go back to the poll. Poll is coming up. Yeah, so once your agents are operational, which improvement would be most critical for your team in next 2 to 3 months? Let's say you have now put all the agents to work. Yeah, please vote. Nobody wants to get 1 day back every week and do something more productive, looks like. All right, great. Okay, so you want to be, yeah. So that's what most of people saying, visible whereby I decide. That's the most critical part. Exactly. Today we want to be in front of the audience at the right places. So absolutely. Great. Thanks for taking the poll. And so we're reaching towards the end of the session now. And today, what you take away from the session today is, of course, the full session recording. And we will give you the 2 MD files. One is, of course, ICP, which all of you have voted, and maybe 1 content coverage, which will get free, and we'll send it to you as part of you have attended the workshop. And there's AI maturity quiz. So we saw that where do you stand in terms of adoption and maturity model. There is a quiz on the website, so please take it. It asks you certain questions, and based on that, it tells you where are the gaps, what do you need to do, and define some roadmap for you to go from, as we said, explorers and pockets of excellence, AI native, and so on. So where you are and what do you need to do. So please do that to help you to improve adoption and maturity within your team. So that's a great exercise you can do. And how LeadWalnut has been helping in this whole agentic process and agents and all that organizations. We help upskill your team, right? So we run hands-on workshops where we help you set up the co-work and so on, and train the team on the process. Or we completely, and then your team goes and do the agents, frameworks, all that. Or you want set up your operating system itself. So where we just not set up the Claude, configure and train your team, we also work with your team and set up some processes, build some agents together with you so that they can scale after some time. They can take it and scale themselves. They can adopt it, see the value and scale it. Or the third, of course, the last model, run end-to-end for you. You don't want either you have a team constraint or you do have less team. You want us to run using this agents, what we have, we can run it end-to-end. So all of these we can do. This is where LeadWalnut comes into picture. So yeah, this is the end of the session here. Now we will definitely take some questions. Now before we go there, we'll put this link on the chat. We request everyone to give us the feedback, really help us to sharpen our next edition, the content, the messaging, the delivery, and take the topics which are of more interest to you. So please, while we take Q&A session, please take some time. It just take maybe take just 60 seconds, 1 minute to give the feedback, and please help us improve. So let's put it on the chat, this link. Yeah. Now the session is open for the questions. If anybody has already, put the question in the chat, we can take that first, or please, raise your hands and we can take some questions about it.
Yes, Ajay, we actually have a few questions queued up in the chat box. So I'll just go one by one.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question is actually from Jaga Jyoti for Raja. So she has asked, you have given an example for content creation using Claude Cowork. Does it feel like AI content will affect website credibility?
That's an interesting question. That's what I hear very often when you really talk about AI generated content. There is a difference between giving a one-line prompt or a few paragraph prompts and building the content, and you have a whole set of process that you have for a real human writer and you write it. So what we deploy and employ is that there is a lot of first-hand information which we own, which includes our customer conversations, what our customers does using the platform, and including our writing style and everything. So we used to hire somewhere around 10 freelancers who work for our organization. So it was a couple of years ago, and we used to outsource somewhere around 100 articles every month. So that is the scale at which we were operating to. Now we are rebuilding the same system, just exclude the external writers, but you have more control, you have more context, you have more information which we feed into the system. So you're not actually having Claude Cowork to write the content, but we feed it with a lot of intellectual information that we have to write it for us. Basically, we have just replaced that freelance writers with Cowork. So that's what has happened. So it is not something which is going to feel like an AI slop. It is completely something which is going to resonate with our audience.
So yeah, great. I think that the answer is whether it's written by AI or human. Is it like Google says? Is it unique? Is it helpful? Is it really aligned with your audience? Is it fetching data from verifiable sources? Does it build trust with audience? Now, that is important here. Now, whether it's written by AI or human being, human can also write wrong content or right? We know that, right? So that is what is, I think, critical. If you take care of that, once you build the agents, 4 or 5 parameters that Raja explained just now, right? Then you build the trust of humans as well as the AI engines on your any content for that sake, right? Right? Kent, you will agree with that? I think we were talking about it some time back, right?
Oh, absolutely, without question.
Yeah. So we use AI to build a lot of content, and seen it works when you take care of certain boundaries and parameters. But great question. Yeah, I think this is the one big concern all of us have. So we have to iterate, try, right, and make sure all this guardrails are in place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a follow-up question from the same person, but this is for Kent.
Mm-hmm.
So she has asked, is there any tip you would give for gaining AI visibility for websites?
Is there just one tip? I mean, there's so many things. One thing I would, that I think most people don't spend a lot of time on, and that is making sure that you have schema turned on, that you do a good job of describing your content in the HTML, super important. And then of course, on page, right? We've creating summaries, adding FAQs, adding quotes, and then, if there's any way that you can make your internal and external linking so that you continue to drive authority one way or the other, those are all critical. And I cannot stress enough, get the basics right. Always work the basics. Make sure that you're doing all the SEO basics correctly. But yeah, there's a good amount of tips to improve AI visibility. But yeah, start with schema and make sure that you're describing your content.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's great answer. I think what I have also seen, yes, all points what Kent very valuable, all are very important. One, now I have also seen schema is very critical. The third-party validation is very important for the AI engines. That's very, very critical. A lot of importance, as Kent said, backlinks, authority. I think that's where it aligns, building backlink authority through backlinks. So that's given a lot of importance in AI engines. So see that how you build, as Ken said, through internal linking, through backlinks, how you can build that, right? And so that becomes a quite influencing factor how you get cited and reached. Yeah. All right, good. More questions?
Yeah, Jay. There is one question from Akhilesh, and he has asked, is this AI agent specifically only for Claude, or can this be used with ChatGPT as well?
Okay, currently all these are integrated, aligned with Claude. It is, I don't think so. It will work with ChatGPT. We can, because we need a lot of internal systems and external system connectors and all that. I don't think so ChatGPT today has that ability to do that. So yes, to your answer, it works on Claude as well.
Okay. So there is one question from Shivam. He has mainly asked, is that possible for you to go through the skill agent doc? But I guess the answer is that we are going to share it anyway. So the MD file will be shared anyway with people, so they can directly get access to it from there.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
There's another question from Sanjeev. He is asking, do we get to take the agents for trial?
Yes, please. You can do that. So you can go to our website and you can download some of the agents and try it. Absolutely, you can do that. So go to our website and agents are there. And if you need any help, let us know. Download and try it. You can definitely.
Okay. There's one question from Rishi. And the question is, how much should we charge for a single agent to a client?
Okay, maybe Rajat, do you want to? I don't know. I mean, that depends, right? I don't know if there's a specific answer to that. Yeah.
So basically, it depends on the value that the agent is providing. So you don't have to, like, right now, I think building is being very democratized. You can build whatever that you want. And it requires a little bit of patience, understanding the problem in depth. It is about the value of the problem that you are solving is what you need to be really charging the customer.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point. I think Raja brought here. Yeah, it's not just about building an agent. Yeah, if you can really help me build pipeline or improve my visibility through that agent, that's a great value. And then, of course, if you're just selling an agent and use it, yeah. So yeah, I think difficult to put a number there, but yeah, value-driven approach is great.
Okay. There's one more question from Jagajoti, and the question is, for backlink and third-party link building, is it possible to create and make backlinks with Claude Cowork?
Backlinks. I mean, backlink in the sense, in the process, yeah, definitely the agents can help you to identify the right, the referring domains, validate them, validate the final guest post, article links, and so on. So, there are multiple agents which can work in the whole backlink process. Definitely, we have also built that. So definitely it can help. You can do a research, go to your competition and see what they have, and backlinks where there is a gap, and then take out those domains and help you to where to put your anchors, your guest, and so on. So yeah, so backlink is a big process here, right? So agents can definitely help there to build that whole workflow there and help you to fasten the process. Yeah.
Okay, Ajay,
Okay.
as of now-
Last one more, if it is there.
Yeah.
We have one more question, or we're done.
No, we don't have any more questions in the chat box.
All right, great. Okay, great. I mean, thank you so much. I think it was a great interactive session, and thank you once again for joining the session. And we keep conducting it every 3 to 4 weeks. So please look out on the website and join us. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much.